The Epilogue. A few days after completing the preceding manuscript, I reread, thanks to a fortuitous accident, the following passages from Tertium Organum. And footnote, Tertium Organum, P.D. Ouspensky, Tertium Organum, Routledge and Kegan Paul, London, 1951. Quote from that text. In all living nature, and perhaps also in that which we consider as dead, love is the most motive force which drives the creative activity in the most diverse directions. In springtime, with the first awakening of love's emotions, the birds begin to sing and build nests. Of course, a positivist would strive to explain all this very simply. Singing acts as an attraction between the females and the males and so forth. But even a positivist will not be in a position to deny that there is a good deal more of this singing than is necessary for the continuation of the species. For a positivist, indeed, singing is merely an accident, a byproduct, but in reality it may be that this singing is the principal function of a given species, the realization of its existence, the purpose pursued by nature in creating the species, and that this singing is necessary, not so much to attract the females, as for some general harmony of nature, which we only rarely and imperfectly sense. Thus, in this case, we observe that what appears to be a collateral function of love, from the standpoint of the individual, may serve as a principal function of the species. Furthermore, there are no fledglings as yet. There is even no intimation of them, but homes are prepared for them nevertheless. Love inspires this orgy of activity, and instinct directs it, because it is expedient from the standpoint of the species. At the first awakening of love, this work begins. One and the same desire creates a new generation, and those conditions under which this new generation will live. One and the same desire urges forward creative activity in all directions, brings the pairs together for the birth of a new generation, and makes them build and create for the same future generation. We observe the same thing in the world of men. There too love is the creative force, and the creative activity of love does not manifest itself in one direction only, but in many ways. It is indeed probable that by the spur of love, eros, humanity is aroused to the fulfillment of its principal function, of which we know nothing, but only at times by glimpses hazily perceive. Even without reference to the purpose of the existence of humanity, within the limits of the knowable, we must recognize that all the creative activity of humanity results from love. Our entire world revolves around love as its center. Love unfolds in a human being traits of his which he never knew in himself. In love there is much both of the Stone Age and of the witches' Sabbath. By anything less than love, many men cannot be induced to commit a crime, to be guilty of a treason, to reanimate in themselves such feelings as they thought to have killed out long ago. In love is hidden an infinity of egoism, vanity, and selfishness. Love is the potent force that tears off all masks, and men who run away from love do so in order that they may preserve their masks. If creation, the birth of ideas, is the light which comes from love, then this light comes from a great fire. In this eternally burning fire in which humanity and the world are being incessantly purified, all the forces of the human spirit and of genius are being evolved and refined, and perhaps, indeed, from this same fire or by its aid a new force will arise which shall deliver from the chains of matter all who follow where it leads. Speaking not figuratively but literally, it may be said that love, being the most powerful of all emotions, unveils in the soul of man all its qualities patent and latent, and it may also unfold those new potencies which even now constitute the objective of occultism and mysticism, the development of powers in the human soul so deeply hidden that by the majority of men their very existence is denied. In love, the most important element is that which is not, which absolutely does not exist from the usual worldly, materialistic point of view. End quote. Not only do these words of Ouspensky strike a deeply responsive chord in me, they have the ring of final truth. They also explain to me the causes of the conflict that at one time existed between Ouspensky and Gurdjieff. When Ouspensky was first interested in Gurdjieff's ideas, Gurdjieff told him that if he, Gurdjieff, knew as much as Ouspensky, he would be a very great teacher indeed. The statement seemed to me a puzzling one, even after Gurdjieff had explained to me many times that knowledge is a passing presence. While Ouspensky knew in his mind that love is the potent force that tears off all masks, and men who run away from love do so in order that they may preserve their masks, Gurdjieff understood it. The difference between knowledge and understanding in our time is something akin to the difference between knowing how to make a hydrogen bomb and using it. Gurdjieff used everything he knew because he understood what he knew. Ouspensky, in a comparative sense, could only communicate on an intellectual level. His books, as reading, are far more interesting and readable than any book Gurdjieff has ever written. This fact, however, does not automatically give them more content. There may be many of Gurdjieff's disciples who could, or do, feel that they have been maligned by my recollections of Gurdjieff's life. I am not apologizing to them for my observations of their behavior. The behavior of human beings under the impact of an unquestionably extraordinary human being who loved them is not predictable, nor is it important. What I knew as a child I am beginning to understand as an adult. Gurdjieff practiced love in a form that is unknown to almost everyone, without limits. In the Gurdjieffian sense, to be or not to be is not a soul-searching question. It is a preliminary statement concerning a necessary decision. Having known Gurdjieff, there is only one possible answer and, therefore, no question at all. The end.